All right, everyone, big in the news today, of course, Operation Lone Star continues. About 25 states have signed on with the state of Texas, actually supporting Greg Abbott in his own operations there, using the state guard, of course, to try to defend the U.S. border, something that the Biden administration is uninterested in doing. I would note that there's one Republican governor that didn't sign on to that support, and that's, ta-da, Phil Scott, yes, the esteemed governor of my home state here of Vermont. This isn't a surprise, though, and actually it's not even for ideological reasons. Just to explain to out-of-staters, Vermont's got a supermajority of Democrats in the House and the Senate, so if Phil Scott were to actually sign on board with this, he'd probably be forced out of office. So it's for political reasons in the sense of political survival. I don't think it's because of any deeply held conviction that Phil Scott has, oh, come all ye faithful, give us your tired, huddled masses. I don't think that so much. He's basically just a political egotist. By the way, unveiling his budget, and it looks like the Dems might balk at that and override his veto and propose a massive property tax increase in the double-digit range to pay for schools that have less and less kids in them. It's going to be very interesting. Yay, more property taxes. It's not like that's going to hurt any Vermonters anyway. Back to the southern border. Right now we have a situation where the southern border of the United States effectively does not exist. There is no attempt whatsoever by the Biden administration to address the problems that are boiling over there. You have on some days more than 10,000 people per day crossing into the United States. You have the necessity of some of these states literally busing hundreds of thousands of these migrants to other parts of the country because they can't pay for them all. They don't have the infrastructure. Texas has dealt with this problem for decades anyway. Even in the best of times, when Trump was president, border crossings were at an all-time low, or at least like a 40-year low or something. It was still a monumental amount of people. But it was, you could sort of deal with it, and an attempt was made to actually shore up border security. Under Biden, what's happened is that people around the world no longer really have any respect for the U.S. rule of law because it's been made clear by the administration that they don't intend to actually do their job and enforce it. The federal government is explicitly tasked, commanded to guard the borders of the United States. But they're not doing that. So when the states decide to step in and take matters into their own hands and do the federal government's job for them, Biden should be kissing Greg Abbott's ass. He should be offering assistance to the state of Texas through any means necessary because that border crisis is beginning to become very politically harmful to you, Joe. He didn't get the memo. Most of the Democrats, they don't want to tackle the issue either. The far-left Democrats literally want to throw the border open. I like it when they pretend not to have that in mind. Let's see, who was it? Oh, it was presidential and then Senate and then gubernatorial candidate from Texas, Beto O'Rourke, one of the standard bearers of the Democrats' far-left fringe. Did he not say that instead of building more wall, we should tear down the wall that existed already? When he was at his Fort Worth rally, which was dwarfed by Trump's competing rally elsewhere down in Texas? Yeah, it seems to be a common proposal, by the way, among some Democratic movements. Specifically the so-called progressive Democrats. Well, I mean, that's a reasonably sized chunk of your House majority. I mean minority, sorry. It's several senators, Bernie and a few others. By the way, Bernie did a 180 on this issue. Back when he was wooing the Union Dem vote more, he's like, well, I don't think that we can maintain a social democracy sort of situation economically if we depress wages by having limitless people coming across the border. They need to do it legally. Obama said basically the same thing. All of the Democrats used to say the same thing until the far left was absorbed into the Democratic Party at large and began growing. And now to pander to the youth vote mainly, they've decided that the border is a bad idea. The problem is that none of the sanctuary cities or states have the resources to deal with this many people. And I love the NIMBYism, too, that I see from especially, upper middle class white liberals. It's the same old NIMBYism, like, we need more nuclear power, but I don't want the nuclear plant anywhere near my city. We want more wind power, but not on the tree line near my development, near my condominium or my third home. We want addiction treatment for people. We must take care of the poor and the drug addicted. But if they try to put it a block away from my suburban home, I'm going to show up and protest and do whatever I can to make sure that the junkies don't come to my neighborhood. We want more homeless shelters for the homeless. But again, not anywhere near me, etc., etc., etc. They do the same thing on the border. These pandering white liberals never thought it was a problem as long as they were down in Texas. No, stay down there. It's almost like they're arguing against the freedom of movement for people that they self-professedly want in the country. Hey, no, we should open the southern border. These people are hurting. They're all refugees. Artificially, illegals don't exist anymore. They're all asylum seekers now somehow. But they need to stay down there. That's their area. Texas can deal with them. How dare you send them up to Chicago or New York or Philadelphia or Martha's Vineyard? Hell, a terrible idea now, isn't it? I wish that they would send 10 more buses to Martha's Vineyard, overload the goddamn island. Really make the NIMBY liberals sweat. I think that they should be forced to have a migrant center in the middle of Martha's Vineyard. Oh wait, that would harm the property prices. These people see those second and third homes there, their McMansions, as an investment. Cost a couple million to buy a single home in Martha's Vineyard, but if you can make that kind of investment, I would say you're not in the socioeconomic rung that generally has to deal with these problems. And that's the whole thing. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to appear progressive and tolerant and diverse, because they're all white mainly and rich. They want that, but they don't want it near them. They don't want the actual pragmatic, especially economic fallout of that particular policy. So they want it out of sight, out of mind. As long as they stay in the Rio Grande Valley or somewhere in the outskirts of El Paso or LA or something like that, and the white NIMBY liberals don't have to deal with them. By the way, how many migrant centers are in Bel Air? Probably not many. Just saying. Now they're coming to your town. You can deal with them. It's great, isn't it? They want millions more people in the country so that they can pat themselves on the back about how woke and how generous they are. And they're willing to pay marginally higher taxes to house these people. But they don't want it in their community. They want addiction treatment, not in my backyard. They want wind power and solar fields, but not in my backyard. Anything that inconveniences them personally, they're all of a sudden against. But the central premise, they're very much for, because these people feel chronically guilty. They're trying to get kudos. It's sort of like back in the 80s when yuppies would adopt an Ethiopian famine child and parade him around like he was a goosey bag or something like that. It's the same fucking shit. A fashion statement, an accessory, not even treating him like a human being. But if you criticize him for it, well, you just don't understand. We're trying to be charitable. Yes, yes, you adopted several ethnic children in order to parade them around like they were livestock. So for your yuppie buddies. And then your yuppie buddies got jealous and damn, well, I guess we've got the budget to adopt. We're going to go for a Cambodian kid or something like that. Bunch of morons. These people are losers. The biggest bigots in the world, by the way, if you get a couple of beers in them and get them into a private conversation where nobody else is listening. Trust me, I've had that experience before. People who are more openly, like, edgy and shit, they're the least bigoted. They don't give a shit if the person who moves in next door is black, but I guarantee the white NIMBYist liberals that are voting in favor of Bidenista policies, they would chuff at that slightly. Biden's completely decrepit. He doesn't know what he's doing. Or rather, he knows what he's doing and he's being evil. And it's more his handlers doing that. He's sort of just a meat puppet at this point. Operation Lone Star is a good idea. And then the liberals are crying about how it's close to civil war. Oh my God. And Trump, by the way, supports this. So kudos to him. Again, wading into another sensitive issue. I have a feeling this is going to blow up in Biden's face, though. It makes it look like he's more interested in bullying states for trying to solve the problem that he can't solve than he is in actually tackling it. And then blaming the Republicans for voting against a border bill. Yeah, you mean the border bill that's 99% other funding has little to do with the border and is pig in a pokery? You can do better than that. The money is already there. You could complete the Trump wall and undercut one of his campaign pledges, which is to go back to defending the border. If you take the border crisis off the table and diffuse the situation, that'd be good for the Biden admin. It would be a positive thing. But he doesn't dare to do so because there's too many leftists in his own party and too many, again, pseudo-progressive white liberals who want to import the entire rest of the world so long as their little insular community is not impacted in any meaningful sense. That's about all. Peace out.